The words home and family always bring me thoughts of comfort and joy. I had a pretty good home and family life growing up, but I've known lots of other people who had it pretty bad. But I have discovered along the way that no matter what your situation, you have the opportunity to make things better, either for you or for your own children. Join me today as we take a quick look at the Proverbs and discover how a Christian home filled with love and godly training can set us on a path to success in life. Read with me Proverbs chapter 4, verse 1 through 4. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. For I too was a son to my father, still tender and cherished by my mother. Then he taught me, and said to me, Take hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. The first thing we see in verse 1 and 2 is the influence of a Christian home. Solomon pleads with his children to pay attention to and to recognize good instructions. To be disciplined and follow instructions is not easy for some of us. We tend to be stubborn and independent. We like to think that we can do things on our own strength and by our own wisdom. But as Hebrews chapter 2 verse 1 says, we must pay the most careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. The best place that we can gain wisdom and discernment is from God's Word and from those who have gone before us. Maybe you've heard the saying, if it's new, it ain't true. A mother and father who have life experience should be trusted more than someone who has never been down the roads that you are traveling. Solomon addresses his sons, plural, but in the previous passages, Solomon has specifically addressed his son, but now he is addressing multiple children. The word used for son can mean grandson, child, or any family member in general, but it carries the meaning of a builder of the family name. Whoever carries on the family name is carrying on the family reputation. It's an important role that should never be taken lightly. Proverbs 22:1 says, A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Solomon says in verse 2 that his teaching is reliable and worthy of holding on to. The word used for teaching is the Hebrew word Torah. We often hear this word used to describe the first 5 books of the Bible. But Solomon is using this word to describe the totality of his instructions and practice as a father and as a wise man of God. He says that he is entrusting this good insight to us, and that we should accept it and never abandon or leave it behind. In verse 3, we see the love of a Christian home. If you are a parent, then you have the opportunity to build godly character and wisdom into your children. I know it's not always easy to parent, but parenting with love and patience and consistency is the godly way to go. The Apostle John, speaking about those that he considered his children in the faith, said this, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. Solomon describes himself as a child as tender. That is true of every child when they are young. They are malleable because they're soft and delicate and meek. God gives them to us that way so that we can help mold them into godly people. Remember this proverb? Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. This proverb is not intended to be a guaranteed method to ensure your children walk the straight and narrow path. But you can be sure if you don't start them off right, they might never become godly people. So if your children are still young enough, then take the opportunity to cherish them and build into them godly character and wisdom. If your children are older and more set in their ways, then don't give up. Continue to speak wisdom into their lives and always pray for them. God can still work in their lives for good. Whether they are older or younger, you can still practice Deuteronomy chapter 6. It says, "These commands that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up." Lastly, in verse 4, we see the training of a Christian home. God expects fathers and mothers to be the spiritual trainers for their children. The verse we just looked at from Deuteronomy chapter 6 is a great example to follow. In verse 4 of Proverbs, Solomon quotes his father, King David, when he says, "Take hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live." It's not just nice words, but a desperate plea to keep and guard this code of wisdom by grasping it with your very soul. Hang on to the wise things that you are being taught with all of your mind, will, and emotions. Because as Solomon says, it will bring you life. It will keep you from sickness and discouragement. And it will keep you from fainting along the path of life and dying. The influence, love, and training of a Christian home can be the difference maker in the life of your family. So, let's be careful to lead our families in godly ways.